In the dark, I play my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Creating the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. Wrapping love in everything. Bring a change, making it last.
What a jam. Yeah, here we are, episode 290 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. If y'all like the new jams, let me know in the chat. And I want to thank everybody for coming in the chat right now. And if you're here with me, if you would, hit that thumbs up so they know to start suppressing us. Look, I'm really excited about the guest I'm going to have on tonight, y'all. So many people are hitting me up about, things they can do regarding okay. We're on several platforms, so I got to be mindful. It's crazy because I got to self-censor on certain things, but at the same time, I have got to get this information out to everybody from some of the best pros out there. I got Jonathan Otto coming on tonight. I got Dr. Brian Artis coming on next week, and then not long after that, Brian Artis is somebody I'm definitely going to have to do on Rumble. There is no way on earth the powers that shouldn't be on YouTube are going to ever let me have that program here. And I got some other ones lined up too. Every bit as much of a powerhouse as Brian Artis. So looking forward to having him on, and obviously Jonathan Otto tonight. We're going to be talking about all the things, simple things you can do to get yourself squared away. But as always, this episode brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com. Turn that simp into a pimp. Bam! Yeah, I'm having to rewire my mind here, y'all. Okay, Living Soil Foundation. Okay, that is the foundation we basically started to clean up Western North Carolina. And we're in the middle of it right now. We got a project that we're working on, hopefully put out a video here before long, but we're being hit with another manufactured storm, folks. And if you haven't seen it yet, YouTube, if you look at the latest short that I put up on YouTube, make sure you watch it after you're done with this tonight. I took that same short, put it up on other platforms. In fact, it got taken down twice. I even redid it, and it was taken down twice. When I'm talking about how I want to give a shout out, honestly, to Ursula for giving me a heads up about this, of what they were doing with the radar towers. And you could literally go to your phone and watch what they were doing. And folks, I'm telling you, you can see it right there. Hopefully it shows up well enough in that short that I did. But man, you talk about suppressing something. So not only did they take it down, they gave me a strike on, what is that thing called? Anyway, it's one of the platforms, okay? And they took the doggone thing down because it's showing right there plain as day that they are playing with the radar towers. And I know I sound like a broken record on a lot of this stuff, folks, but I'm telling you, it is worse than it's ever been here in Western North Carolina. And like I said, we're going to talk about some of the ways you can detox from some of this stuff, easy things. And we've talked about, at least I've talked about a lot of it in the past. So before Jonathan gets on here, folks, I want to remind you that Farm Connection, they're basically the ones I'm working with right now in some of the projects that we have in Western North Carolina. So they're supplying all of the trees, shrubs, ground cover, seeds, you name it. And look, they're good folks. It's literally a mom and pop operation, and they do ship. So if you need bare root trees or anything else they have at the website, they ship it all. So go check them out. You'll get 10% off with promo code PERMA. And once again, man, I want to thank everybody in the chat. Until Jonathan gets here, I look forward to conversing with some of you folks out here. And if you're going to have questions, please put them in all capital letters so I can be sure to, with these glasses on, y'all, with these blue blockers, especially the red lens, it's nearly impossible for me to see writing that's not in all caps. So if you got a question for Jonathan, by all means, let me know. Wave Watch, that watch that puts out all those cool solfeggio tones and all the other things I talk about. You see me wearing them in all the videos. Yeah, Billy 100. Well, actually, they still got a special on right now. If you buy one watch, it'll get you $150 off right now, as I understand it. And then 2 watches, if you get up to 3, it's like $500 off. So, yeah, a lot of people are telling me how much they love those things. So I'm glad. I mean, folks, I wore that thing for months before I mean, you can go back and watch all the videos. I had that thing on for months because I would not allow myself to believe that it was actually working. I'm dead serious. I mean, I was like, no way this thing is making, no way this is working. Then I put it on Michelle thinking, okay, man, is this a placebo effect? So it worked on her with endometriosis, and it worked on her with a number of other things that she was going through. And yeah, so they definitely, like I said, I wore that thing for months before I ever told anybody in this podcast about it. So go check them out if you want one. Billy 100 will get you $100 off. Now, the guy I'm going to be talking to tonight, Jonathan Otto, he is going to be one of the guest speakers at the Shalom Temple 5-day immersion event. That's going to be March 18th through the 22nd. And by the way, they do have day tickets if you would like to get some. So go to the website. You can, if it's still up, because honestly, folks, this is why I'm saying one of the big things I think that's coming up right now is going to be of a health nature. And the reason why, the very things and the very people I used to talk about, look, if they're scrubbing videos on here that have Barbara O'Neill on them, for crying out loud, you got to start raising an eyebrow. And when they start suppressing videos where I'm talking about health with people like Jonathan Otto and a number of others, you got to start raising an eyebrow. So folks, this is why I keep, driving this thing home, because I'm telling you, you've got to get your medicine cabinet squared away. You got to get yourself squared away, and you got to do everything you possibly can, because honestly, I really believe the powers that shouldn't be, they got some interesting things planned for us. And if you're thinking that Trump and the gang are going to solve all your problems, folks, I think you're going to be in a bad position. So anyway, like I said, Shalom Temple 5-day immersion event, that's going to be March 18th through the 22nd. Barbara O'Neill is going to be headlining that thing, which is all the more reason why they are doing everything. They're tearing down the website. They're messing up the payment processing. They're doing everything to keep people from actually finding out about this event. So folks, you want to know about this, and you probably want to be there because, like I said, you got people like Barbara O'Neill, you got Jax, you got Jonathan Otto, and you got a whole gang of others. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be doing some workshops, basically going into detail about how I am going about cleaning up Western North Carolina. So if you want to learn about that sort of thing, I'll be there. But more than anything, I'm just looking to, I'm always looking, look, great conversation is the first thing I look for and the last thing I find in most settings. I'm dead serious. And I think a lot of you folks, I'm sure you agree with me. I don't know what's going on today, but it's like everybody is just some hoople-headed Marchie that honestly, they could tell you everything about a Super Bowl, but you try to have a rational conversation with most people and they're just not able to do it. So going to these events is also, it's great because you learn so much, but at the same time, you also fellowship with people that are just extraordinary. That's really one of the biggest benefits of going to a lot of these events. And that's the biggest reason why I want to go. A lot of the information that's presented there, it might be things you already know, but it's just, I don't know. It's just something about the energy of being in the room with people that are absolutely awake. So you're going to want to be there for that one as well. And then May 2nd through the 4th coming up, mountainreadiness.com. Folks, I've been talking about this forever and a day. And I mean forever and a day, about how the best festival you don't know about is Mountain Readiness. And folks, you want to definitely check that one out. If you ever wanted to be in the room with everything from Navy SEALs to Vietnam era Green Berets, who are just phenomenal, incredible sense of humor, you name it, anywhere up and down that spectrum, U.S. Army sappers like myself, you name it, you want to be in the room with these people, they're going to be there. And I'm going to be there too. So Shane's going to be there with that food truck. So I'm showing up. So anyway, go check out mountainreadiness.com. I need to get T back on the show and talk about what else is going on. Oh, also Pat Miletich, as I understand, is going to be there. He's probably going to be staying at my place. And so anyway, Pat Miletich is going to be there. If you don't know who he is, former UFC world champion, probably trained more UFC champions than maybe anybody else. There was a time where nearly every fighter that was a champion in the UFC was one of his fighters. And he has a protocol that he shared with me and everybody else on this show. So you're going to want to check him out as well. Plus, I think he's going to be doing some demonstrations, basically showing you how to choke somebody down if you're walking out of a Walmart or something and somebody's trying to, shake you down for the change in your pocket. All right. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out Redemption Shield. Y'all, I'm G'd up from the feet up. You know how I roll around here. So I'm always grounded. And you know what time it is. And that's why I wear these blue light blockers. Folks, I'm telling you, I'm not just talking this game, man. I'm out here doing this stuff. Changing out the light bulbs in my house, getting rid of all of the LED bulbs in here that are putting out blue light. And as soon as the sun goes down, these red ones, the yellow ones come off, the red ones go on. And because the yellow ones let in a certain amount of blue light, which isn't a bad thing during the day. But when you get to night, it is unnatural for your body's circadian rhythm to be taking in a bunch of blue light. Well, I'm in here in studio lights. Obviously, I got the Pimpcast sign behind me. And everybody keeps asking, hey, where do you get these glasses? I said, I'm not going to promote them because they had some satanic imagery that I just can't get behind. So I'm not with that. So if you want to know where to find some, go check out the work of Dr. Alexis Cowan or check out Dr. Jack Kruse, Kruse. I'm sure there's a number of others out there too. People are starting to wake up as far as blue light blockers and all that good stuff. So, anyway, EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Look, I've been a journeyman electrician for a lot of years, y'all. And look, if things jump off, if they jump off, the reason why I'm saying if or when, go read the Deagle report, DEAGEL. I won't do all the research for you, but go look it up and see what they predict for 2025. It might shock you a little bit. Now, it's not to be fearful or anything, but, stay alert, stay alive. That's why I end every show with that, okay? So, go check those things out for yourself. But anyway, if it does jump off, EMP Shield is going to get you squared away, and you can get $50 off with promo code PERMA. All right, so we're still waiting for Jonathan Otto, but I'm going to check out some of your questions here, and maybe we can have a little chat ourselves. And by the way, folks, another little show note, Michelle's working on it right now. One thing I miss, and I guarantee once I start doing this, watch every other podcast start doing it as well. I guarantee it's going to happen. If we can make it happen. Apparently, we're going to have to change providers for who puts out our podcast, because one thing I miss about old school talk radio, which is where I cut my teeth, one thing I really, really miss about it is the fact that it's one thing to read your comments. It's entirely another if you're able to call in. So what we're working on is a call-in radio show. So a lot of you folks can ask your questions to people like Jonathan Otto and anybody else I have on, or maybe even myself. So without further ado, look, I know we got some questions in there. I'll try to back it up as we bring on my man, Jonathan Otto. How you doing, Jonathan?
Hey, good. Thank you. How are you, Billy?
Good, my man. How's life over in, where are you now? I know you're always globetrotting.
Oh yeah. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm at a business event here, and but in about 24 hours ago, I was in Puerto Rico on the beach with my boys. Crazy story, Billy, is my birthday is right now, February 12th. It's my birthday, so I get to celebrate it with Billy, which is reminiscent for me because that's my brother's name, Billy. So we're partying, man. This is a party time.
Well, happy birthday, man. Based on some of the comments I got the last time you were on the show, I'm sure there's a lot of women out there throwing their garments at you virtually. So happy party, You just happen to be in Vegas on your birthday, man. I hope you're not there alone, brother.
I'm with my wife. I'm with my wife, and so all above board. Haven't yet had anyone throw their underwear at me. So that'll be a first. But I'll gladly return it because underwear costs money, I guess.
Yeah, well, man, I can't think of a better guy to have on the program, especially right now, considering all the crazy things that are going on right now. And I'm not sure if any other host has ever hit you up with some of this stuff, but first of all, let me just kind of back up a little bit, and I'm going to kind of set the stage for the question I'm about to ask. So you're in Vegas right now. What do the skies look like? Are they chemtrailing the daylights out of you the way they are here?
I can't see any right now, but they're common here. I see them a lot whenever I'm here.
Really? Last time I was out there, not bluest blue sky you ever seen.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, on the other end, in Puerto Rico, what are the skies looking like there when you're back there?
Well, it's pretty rare that we see like a chemtrail, but they're there. They're occasionally there. I see them every few weeks or something. I'll see a big streak across the sky, but maybe one, not like crosshair, like crisscross, like you see in Los Angeles. But yeah, I see it. I see it. I mean, because like the whole theory of that being just a contrail, the natural produce of the jet propulsion is doesn't hold, because it just staying there in the air doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in the category, but yeah, I get it.
Well, I'm turning out to be one. And, I've been working with Dane Wigington from Geoengineering Watch, and he's been kind of something of a mentor regarding all this stuff. So I've been a fast study on a lot of what's going on with this stuff. And the reason I'm asking you this is that we're having a phenomenon right now. It seems like all over the globe, because people, this show goes worldwide. I get messages from everybody from your old stomping grounds in Australia to, all over Europe. I mean, even parts of Africa, you name it. And everybody is seeing the same phenomenon where, and now the people with the Trump derangement syndrome, it happens on both sides of the equation. You got the one end that Trump can do no good, and then you have the other end where Trump can do no bad.
Yeah.
And the ones that think that Trump can do no bad are the ones that are absolutely saying to me, and it's blowing my mind, that, wow, chemtrails went away. And I'm like, what? They are worse now. Everybody is reporting to me that there's this fog that just lingers and it just stays, and people are dropping sick. And down the road from me, 9 people dead within 5 miles of this fire station that we went to a little while ago. And that's only, a couple of hours away. So anyway, we got this fog, this mysterious fog where people have captured some of it, and it's got these crazy bacteria in there. Wow. We got chemtrails where they're dropping barium, aluminum, you name it. I mean, it's all nasty stuff that's coming from the sky. So Jonathan, this is why I'm saying your timing couldn't be better to be on this show, because so many people are reaching out and saying, wow, man, how do I detox? How do I get this stuff out of me? What do I do? Because nobody's telling us what it is. Nobody's saying. All I know is every single person I know has been sick except for me and my wife. And we follow your protocol, which, part of your protocol, among others, we're the only ones I know that haven't been sick and haven't even been close to being sick. So
that's awesome.
So, I mean, I gotta know, because so many people are asking right now, man. I know you can't possibly know what's in this stuff. What are some common things that people can be doing to protect themselves from whatever's being sprayed or dispersed?
Wow. Amazing. Firstly, I'm just so kind of chuffed to know that you're okay. And obviously I hate hearing that someone's not. And that's why we do this. Like, we wouldn't bother doing a show. I was, Lori just went out. Yeah, it'd be nice to just go and do my own like birthday thing, go just, take a relaxing day. And I do those on occasions, but the reason why I'm doing this show right now is because of the exact reason that you're talking about. People can't wait. If somebody's having this happen to them right now, this could be life or death, and how you respond in this moment matters. And what you know and what you don't know matters. And you think about Psalm in the Bible, Psalm 91, 1,000 shall fall at thy right side, but it shall not come upon you. And that does, in this case, it really does come down to you being a diligent student of the world that God has made, and the processes that God has made for you, and the tools that are available to you. Whether you're rich or poor, you have so many tools at your fingertips to take control of your health, even if you are being attacked with be careful with the words I use, but like intentional poisons against you, or anything of that nature. So some of the things that are critical, and we've been sharing a lot on the benefits of chlorine dioxide, and I've got to be, okay, good. Okay. Yeah. We've been sharing a lot about lots of things, and we're going to be talking about various things. So red light therapy is the one that we can really go deep into. And then there are other, great tools, and what I just talked about is a great water purifier, right? So anyway, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, good cleanser, good for all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, we're not giving any health advice here, and we're certainly not claiming that substance does miracle things, and we're certainly not claiming that NASA said it was fantastic, and we're not claiming that, you know, it's a substance we can't name, but if somebody were to be so kind and put it in the chat, is there anything else we could call it, Jonathan? Like,
Yeah.
is it
Like,
MMS
yeah.
or?
Yeah. MMS, CDS. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we can call it that. But if we say the other thing, they'll probably give me my second strike because, strangely enough, one of your mentors got me my first strike just by mentioning ZINC, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. So, which I was telling the audience before you got on, which makes me believe that maybe the next thing that they're about to pull is going to be of a medical nature, because if you can't mention ZINC, you can't mention MSM, you can't mention which all of these things I've talked about in the past, every single one of them. And all of a sudden you mention any of that stuff in any of these platforms and they scrub the video. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jonathan. I just
No, I'm
wanted
glad you did. Yeah, because I remember there was certain two words that I couldn't put together, but I didn't realize that it was that in entirety. But and then if you need to do anything right now where you need to stop or delete or anything like that, let me know.
No, we're live, bro. I mean,
I know you are. No, I know that. I'm saying even with that, you if you stop and delete, you can.
You know what? Honestly, I'm beyond the point of caring. I think people have kind of realized that at this point. I mean, ordinarily, when I'm going to do something where I think it you know, it may violate their terms, we usually do it on Rumble. But this is where the biggest audience is.
Yeah.
And so we're hitting Rumble and we're hitting YouTube. And I'm apparently so controversial, I'm not even allowed to go live on X, despite being told that, you know, it's the freest platform out there. But anyway, we can't even have this conversation on X. So as you were, yeah, hey, I'm just going to reach across this room, bro. I'm as hot as a runaway slave up in this room. So I'm going to turn this fan on real quick.
Yeah. And I can keep riffing. I'll welcome. I'm your second host of the show. While
No, you did good. All 3 seconds, bro. You can take it over anytime.
Oh, great. I was hoping I didn't stuff it up in 3 minutes, which I, tend to do by saying all the wrong things. So look, guys, Billy and I care about you guys. Like, we care about you and your family. So we do have amazing solutions that we're going to talk about and share. And the great news is that so many of the things that we can share are catch-alls, and they're so effective, they're so therapeutic, and they will help you in these states. And one of the reasons why I believe that that Billy is well right now, while there's a lot of people that are getting deathly ill, there's even people that have there's fatalities that have occurred from what he just shared. What would be some of the reasons that this is not happening to him? And then you have to look at his protocol. What's he doing? And one of the keys in that, when you think about what is it that you're doing that's harnessing your voltage in your body, because disease, sickness, all these maladies, they thrive in conditions where the voltage of the body is low, because you're an electrical system, and because of that, when your cell's voltage is low, then you're lethargic, you're already tired, and then you fell prey to something, you got exposed to some kind of toxin, now you're chronic, and then this is built up for a lot of people, and we refer to the straw that broke the camel's back. Most people they're carrying this toxic burden. Their voltage is so low, they can't combat even what's going on a daily basis. And what Billy is doing is and what I'm sharing with you today is the key to how to harness that with your body, how to harness your cellular voltage, and then your body can kick out the toxins regularly. But you can't do it without the therapies. And then a lot of people are trying different detox protocols, but they just, they don't really do much other than make them feel pretty bad for a little while. They don't really get some systemic healing. So you look at the glasses Billy's wearing with the red tint. This kind of gets you into this theme of, why is red light so therapeutic, and why is it so helpful right now? Why is it something that arguably we can't afford to be without? It's something that is a mainstay, and something that can protect you and your whole family and your loved ones. That you can. There's so much that can be done with this, and so just to kind of start to open that wedge into why this therapy is one that you can utilize to harness the cellular voltage, and it all has to do with your mitochondria. And so this is the energy powerhouse, and people are getting more and more familiar with this. And so as you fuel the mitochondria, you're increasing the energy production of the cell, and your mitochondria will produce a substance called adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Now, the reason why people's their state, the symptoms, the conditions they're diagnosed with, the way that they feel, all of these things, the reason why they're struggling is because their cells are struggling. And that if you don't have gas in the tank in a vehicle, you say, well, the car's not driving. You say, well, have you got fuel in it? And so what I'm talking about is getting the fuel source right, and then making that the biggest focus. And one of the things we referenced before can help with that. Okay, so I can say that much. One of the things we mentioned before can help with that. It can help with that voltage. And then like grounding can help with that voltage. So people that are grounding are going to be better off. They have more electrons in their body, which means basic terms, they've just got their feet on the ground. That's simple. Or they have a grounding mat set up, or they get in the ocean, because that's grounding. Even though you're suspended in water, those electrons are going through the water into your body, and you're getting charged up by that. So people naturally feel better. And then the ocean being great because it's so strongly electrically charged, because it's salt water, and batteries have the salt, they have salt bases that run them, and you're a salt water being yourself. So you run through these electrolyte channels. And so how do you harness this? How do you sew into that? And so one quick and easy solution is for people to be doing therapies like red light therapy, either on a daily or doing it a few times a week. So that's kind of starting the conversation there, Billy.
No, I'm right there with you, bro. I mean, I'm doing all of it. I'm following your protocol. Everybody from Dr. Alexis Cowan to Jack Cruz. I mean, I'm kind of cutting and pasting all the things I can from all you guys. And I'm doing the red light therapy every single day. And the way they are blocking out the sun right now, it's like, I know that, okay, first of all, I did a video earlier today. You would have to go back and watch it. And basically prove beyond all doubt that they're using the radar towers to basically play games with. I won't go into all that right now. That's not really what's important. But what is that they are literally blocking out the sun. And I wonder if that's not part of a bigger agenda. I won't go into that right now, but I will say that is one of the massive benefits of being able to have that red light therapy bed, or, well, the panel, is that my wife and I religiously, I mean, there is not a day, if it's full sun out there, believe me, I'm standing out there naked as a jaybird. As soon as that sun comes up, I'm getting that morning light. I'm out there doing my thing. I'm working out in it. Now I live so isolated, I could do that sort of thing. But when it's a day like today, or the day like yesterday, or the day before, where I'm like, okay, I need an option B. And I can't be out there in the rain. And that's where that panel comes in great. And honestly, it's just soothing, man. It's, I stand in front of it, and I'm in this process of trying to memorize the whole book of Psalms right now.
Wow.
And that's where I do my memorization every single day.
Wow.
So like you were saying a minute ago, Psalm 91, I say Psalm 91 probably 2-3 times a day.
Wow.
While I'm standing in front of that red light therapy.
Oh, wow.
And, my nose is touching that thing. I walk away from it and I feel like $1 million.
Wow.
And I don't have any problems. I mean, that's the thing, is I'm like, okay, I'm doing the grounding. And by the way, I've meant to ask you this, because I'm grounding on a grounding mat while doing the red light therapy. Is that cool?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Okay.
No contraindication, of course, which you're using your intuition to determine that. Yeah. So it would technically enhance, and that's why some people will use a PMF at the same time, which is like a grounding on steroids, like pulse electromagnetic.
Would you stand on the PEMF mat, or how would you go about doing
You'd
that?
lie, because you could, with that stand that you have, you could make it horizontal, and so you would lie on the PMF mat while you've got the red light on top of you.
Oh, what a dope I am, because I got this thing hanging on the back of a door right now because it just made sense there. But now that you said that, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you could lay that thing horizontal, be laying on the PEMF mat, and at the same time doing the red light. Okay, that would save myself about another 20 minutes, because I'm 24 minutes on the PEMF mat, and then 20 minutes in front of the red light. And well, Hey, that was worth the price of admission right there, bro.
Yeah, there you go. Like, yeah, because of what that means for your habits. And that this is a really cool takeaway, because some people have a red light therapy device, but they're not using it because they haven't worked out just a simple way to integrate it. And just talking about that and saying, like, making a commitment to yourself while you're watching this. Here's how I'm going to do this. Here's what time in the day I'm going to generally do this. Here's where I'm going to do this in my house. And some people have got it's like sitting in a box somewhere, or they're just not using it, guys. It doesn't do anything if you're not using it. So you've got to then work with something that works for you. So Billy just found something that's going to change his life. And so it sounds like it's brought a lot of energy to you. Is that right?
No, that's exactly the case. And that's why I've been screaming this thing from the mountaintops, because I'm like, okay, number one, they're blocking out the sun everywhere. The chemtrails here in the United States of amnesia are worse than they've ever been. Now, I've been looking for plan B. I mean, I didn't announce this to everybody out there, but honestly, I am seriously looking at a plan B. And if you're telling me it's not so bad in Puerto Rico, then maybe I might want to look for land out there, because I can do what I'm doing anywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've looked at everywhere from, oh shoot, you name it, place. I don't want to tell everybody where it is right now, but I'm like, I know there are places on the earth right now that aren't getting bombarded with this stuff every single day. But look, I'm here now. Other people are here now. And the bottom line is, man, we got to find ways to get this stuff out of us. But I have been religiously doing the grounding, the PEMF mat, and additionally, I mean, there's a bunch of things I'm doing, but the red light, I mean, it's not even negotiable. It's part of my morning routine. I get up in the morning, drink my salt water, do the whole 9 yards, and then believe me, get the animals moved before the sun comes up. And then when I get back in, I'm standing in front of that mat, or I'm out in the sun. And as bad as it's been, I can't, I am so thankful that this thing is an option for me. So what exactly is going on? I mean, for the people out there that have either purchased one of your red light therapy devices, or the ones that are like on the fence about it, I mean, why don't you give them the rundown of what the benefits are? Because honestly, I haven't been sick. My wife hasn't been sick. I mean, my sleep is fantastic. Part of it, I think, has to do with knocking out the blue light. I mean, I've changed out all the light bulbs in my house to full spectrum, and gotten rid of all the blue light bulbs. And when evening rolls around, believe me, I'm putting on these blue light blockers, especially when I'm in a studio like this and I'm being hit 365. My sleep is doing good. Everything's doing good. But why don't you give everybody a rundown of what's happening when you're standing in front of that red light panel?
Amazing. Yeah. Because you see those benefits, and it's kind of like, why is this working? Why is my sleep? You mentioned your sleep improved. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So once sleep improves, everything improves, because you're healing when you're sleeping. You generate stem cells while you're sleeping. You just correct your sleep, and then you're a different person. You've added years to your life, maybe decades to your life, and you've added better years or decades to your life just with the sleep factor. And so, but why is it working? And what's the mechanism? And why did you get exposed to toxins from what we're talking about? And how did your body then use this to remove toxins? And how could something like light do that? It doesn't really seem to make sense. But you're more responsive to light than you are anything else. More responsive to light than you are to even food. Your body reacts to it a lot faster because it goes straight through to the cells and interacts with the cells. Whereas you take food or supplements or medication, it's going to interact with the body. Your body will digest it, and it will synthesize this, and your cells will take what it can from this process, and it will only take what you can digest. And then a lot of people have pretty destroyed gut microbiome for lots of reasons, like alcohol is killing microbiome. Pesticides are killing microbiome, just like they kill the tiny organisms in the soil, and the microorganisms that's killing the microflora of the gut, which is what makes up your like a lot of what you are is all this microbiome. And so it's very sensitive. It's sensitive just like the organisms in the soil. Like I know I'm talking to a permaculture channel, and so it's all this destruction has happened. And then so what people are finding is they're taking supplements, but they're not really working for them. And that they're not, because they're not digesting them. And then hence why it's a great idea to use digestive enzymes. It's not going to correct all the issues with the microbiome, but it's going to help the digestion of the food to break it down. And then your body can utilize this. And fibrous foods, so that the things that you're planting are going to be the things that feed the mitochondria, as an example. Sorry, the microbiome. It's because it's natural and it's plant-based, and that interacts directly with this microbiome. But my point being, if you're using red light, then you're getting straight into the cells, and you're interacting directly with the microbiome, which is super interesting. Microbiome is very sensitive to light, and you probably never heard anyone even talk about that. And so it's responding to the light, and it's feeding all these cells. And like in basic terms, what it does is making the cells, the microbiome, happy, because they have what they need to perform cellular functions that are important for them. Now you get to this next level of how does the body clear toxicity and cells that are diseased and dying, and how does it do a turnover and cause these bad cells to die off and be deleted from the body? And how does it cause healthy cells to thrive and to mature? Because there's a there's replication, but then there's a replacement that's going on with your organs. They're actually getting replaced with cells, with new cells. And that's the reason why your body consistently is producing stem cells. But those cells need things in order to become what they need to be. And so they need oxygen. That's one example. They need oxygen. That's why breathing is the most essential thing that you do. It's more important than water, and then it's more important than food. I'm not saying that you can live without food or water. You can, but you can live without food for X amount of time. You can live without water for X amount of time. You can live without oxygen for how long? Like minutes, if you're lucky. And so this gives you an example of the critical nature of oxygen for the cells. Then you'd say, okay, well then, what does red light therapy do with oxygen? And the answer is that red light, even though you don't see this, it's electromagnetic waves. Those electromagnetic waves cause the body to produce its own forms of oxygen. And they're called reactive oxygen species. A lot of people have understood them as being negative, but you look at these cases and what these reactive oxygen species are created by the body, what they're doing, they're performing the most vital cellular functions, and they're critical for removing toxic cells. And so what they do, this reactive oxygen species, one of them is singlet oxygen, which is the most prolific one when it comes to what it can do, because it's lethal to disease cells, because it's lethal even in a military setting. It's used, singlet oxygen is used to blow up missiles that are airborne, and what it's doing to disease cells and cancerous cells in the body is it's causing apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. That reactive oxygen species will actually cause the explosion of these and the apoptosis, the death of these cells. And at the same time, there's an enzyme that's triggered with light therapies, like red light, which is called caspase-3, which is a death enzyme. And so that enzyme is causing then the death of these cells. So this is amazing. So what you're doing is you're clearing out the diseased and dying cells. You're feeding the healthy cells with what they need. And then all of a sudden you look younger because you are younger, because your cells are younger. They're young and healthy cells. You don't have all these senescent cells, and senescent cells are zombie cells. They're alive in the body, but they're not performing normal functions. And so there's a direct link between senescent cells and cancer, because there's these cells that aren't normal cells. There's not a heart. This is not bones. This is not eye cells. This is a clump of cells that are just, they're like non-cells, but they're this term cancer stem cells is a really good one for people to understand, because cancer stem cells influence the process of cancer in the body. So chemo, for example, doesn't kill cancer stem cells. It only kills daughter cells of cancer, but it also kills all healthy cells as well. Whereas in this case, you're feeding, you can then actually cause apoptosis of cancer stem cells and cause those to get cleared out of the body. And these are all based on clinical studies that are mind-blowing studies.
You go down that rabbit hole, man. It absolutely. First time I heard you talk about this, I had to go and look it up for myself. And it should be a crime that this is not known to the American public. This should be an absolute crime, or to the world for that
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
This should be a crime. I mean, people are going in here getting unnecessary. Sorry to cut you off, man, but I'm so
No,
passionate
please.
about this.
No, I'm glad.
People,
I love it. I love your perspective on this. Tell me. Yeah.
people are absolutely going in there with procedures for some really awful diseases. And folks, I'll leave it up to your imagination what those are. But there's I could say turbo in front of it. Okay. And you'll know what I'm talking about, because if I say that word, they'll probably tank the video. Look, there are people going in here getting some really unbelievable things when they already know that this therapy could absolutely get somebody on the healing track and off and running from their own documents. I mean, you've talked about it before, and I'm out here looking at this and I'm hearing it confirmed by other people that are in, a similar space as yours. And I'm like, this should be an absolute crime. This should be a crime that this is not well known, that instead of going in there and getting a part of your body cut out of you, having to go under anesthesia and all this, you mean to tell me, oh, hold on, you mean all these people are being healed just by standing in front, not just any red light? And now, look, I got to address this too, because some people have brought it up in the chat, Jonathan. Sorry to take this side road, but everybody's talking about red light therapy these days, but they are not all made the same.
Yeah.
In fact, I've talked before. I mean, a while back, I've heard one of your competitors talking about some of the, the wavelengths that are there. And then I'm over here looking at some of these very high, very, very expensive panels that cost maybe 2 or 3 times as much as what you're charging. And they don't even have the necessary wavelengths that you need based on the studies. I mean, I'm like, okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like 660 was one of the critical wavelengths. And I'm like, one of these high-end panels didn't even have that. So what makes yours, sorry to throw so much at you, but
no, I like it. I like it. It's so fun. I like the interaction, man. Just throw everything at me, man. I like to have my mind stimulated. So like, throw it at me.
Well, tell them why yours is different, and it's not your garden variety. And I almost mentioned one of the other brands out here, but why everybody's talking about red light panels, but what makes yours so different?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because what I can do is give people like a shopping list, if they will, to what I like from all my research, so that whether it was with what we're doing, or that they would have that knowledge, so that they would know this and go, okay, well, what matches some of these key criteria points? So the wavelengths that you're talking about is a critical aspect. And just before there, I'd say the number one point before that would be irradiance. So the amount of power delivered. And that's critical, because you could have a device that says it's like 100 or 150 or 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared, but you get an irradiance meter and you put it up against it, and it shows up with 30 or 40. So like literally like a third or an eighth of what it says it is, but because you're none the wiser, you wouldn't know. But if for people, if they they can actually buy irradiance meters, and so you can find out how much power is coming out, as an example. So we're testing everything that we're doing, and so for starters, it's the highest irradiance of any device that exists. So in this case, it's 205 milliwatts per centimeter squared at 3 inches, and so this is all tested on every single device. Like, this needs to be this power. It's, you can't just kind of skip that, because if you don't have that power, then you don't have what you need. And then it also allows you then to be in front of it for a short period of time, versus, have to take out an hour or something, like, or, 2 hours or something, because you're trying to replicate something because your device isn't powerful enough. So that's the first thing. The wavelengths conversation is second, where the wavelengths that are critical, and I'm glad you remember this. You're a great researcher, Billy, and you remember things, and you've done your own research. And so, well, there's various wavelengths that are critical. 660 was one where there's a clinical study on breast cancer, and it showed that they could drop the breast tumor proliferation by 40% in 24 hours with the 660 nanometer. And they tested 4 different wavelengths, and all those other wavelengths were good wavelengths. So 630 and 615, 660 and 730. So they're all good wavelengths, but 660 was the only one that could perform that specific function. And and do that. So then you would want that if you were a woman, even if, to prevent. I'm not saying you can prevent, but I'm just saying like that's the philosophy. And I'm, so this is not designed to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease or condition, nor am I saying the products are able to do that. I'm not saying any of that, but yeah. So, yeah, look at your eyes. Yeah, no, exactly. No, I give those disclaimers, is fine, right? So I'm just giving education. This is educational and entertainment purposes only. But as I share that, you're looking at wavelengths and what they do. And so then you've got a near infrared spectrum, which is 800 and up. And so what we did, and this is cool, like you'll see, Billy, so there are some developments. So what we have here is 480, which is blue, 590, which is a yellow orange, and then we've got 630, 660, 670, 810, 830, 850, and 1060. So there is an update here, which is cool, really, Billy. And then the ability to change any one of those wavelengths through an LCD panel, so you can then change all of this, which is cool if you want to. But my general recommendation is just to use all the wavelengths, but they're all interfacing with different parts of the body. Like nothing will regulate circadian rhythm like 480, which is blue, which is super interesting that you would think that blue light was helpful in this case, but you just have to look at the clinical studies. There's nothing that can clear the skin bacteria like blue light, and there's nothing that can do skin rejuvenation quite like blue light. And so it's very effective. It is needed in a small amount. It's a consistent light source, unlike the blue light that we're talking about, which is flickering. This is non-flicker, so consistent. So it's like, think the sun during the day is mostly blue light. The rainbow has blue in it. So they're beneficial forms of light. God didn't make a mistake. The nature is beautiful and it's great. What we have in homes, these LEDs, the screens that have blue light, it's harmful. But even if those lights were different colors, because of the flicker rate, it's still harmful, even if it's red. Even though there's some benefits there. So some people have switched their houses to party light, red lights, and there is a health benefit to it still, but they're still low quality. They're not going to help you therapeutically. They kind of, it's there. And then low EMF emission, or zero at 4 inches. So, and that's what we did. So these are good things to look for so that you understand it. And then the ability for it to cover most part of your body, or you have options there. But like if it's a smaller device, at least it's getting into the body, because what it's going to do is it's still going to pulsate systemically, but always, if you can, doing a full body panel that will literally cover all your organs, your critical organs, your face, your groin, your sexual health. I'm not going to go ask any personal questions to Billy, but nitric oxide production helps sexual performance for males and females, and libido and all these things. Nitric oxide is critical for heart health and all these things. So it's awesome, man. That's kind of a bit of a cliff note on that.
Hey, Michelle, come on up here. Jonathan thinks I ain't performing right.
Exactly. No,
Yeah,
I was ready to see you bragging about how well you're performing in bed. So I was kind of baiting you out on that.
Hey, well, bro, you don't know who you're asking on that. You can tell her I'll do more on 6 foot of mattress than a monkey on 60 foot of vine. So, bro, have no fear on that score.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
No, dude, like we got to talk about intimacy in marriage, man. It's great. Like that's awesome. Garrett White, does that name ring a bell? Garrett White is gonna get me on his show to talk about like marriage and intimacy. He's an interesting guy.
Oh yeah, we need to cover that stuff, because I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, a lot of guys, just don't have what it takes anymore. I mean, whether it's the stuff in the food, or what they're dropping from the sky, or maybe they're getting too much blue light and watching TV. I don't know, man. That's something that we really ought to talk about another time. But sadly, there's so many guys out there that won't admit, hey, your million men aren't marching right now. So they don't want to talk about this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's too shameful.
Yeah. And, there's so many different toxins and all these other crazy, like I started off the program talking about. I mean, we're being sprayed, bombarded, bro. In fact, when you're here in North Carolina at this, in March at this Shalom Temple thing, bro, you better come G'd up from the feet up, because I have never seen worse spraying in my life, ever.
Wow.
And it's happening all over this country right now. So it's funny that you're saying in Vegas because I don't recall ever seeing it out there. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird things going on right now. But yeah, your panels are. That's what impressed me most when I looked into them is that everybody else is, it's. And this is what somebody mentioned in the chat. It's like everybody's talking about red light. How do I know which one is the right one? Well, Jonathan just laid it out for you, and yours is. It has higher irradiance, has more wavelengths, and it was a third of the price of these others that were. It's like they were relying on celebrity or whatever to promote this thing. And I'm like, hold on, man. Look, I'm a journeyman electrician. I've been one for almost 30 years. When I look at the details out there and I'm like, okay, let me look at this, and this, it's either jumping out to me, it makes sense, or it doesn't. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're paying for somebody's name to be on this thing. And you're not talking about, you're not really getting down to brass tacks of the functioning of this thing. So I'm glad you pointed that out because the flicker rate means so much. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we are, in fact, living in a place where we run on AC currents. So it's 60 cycles per second. So whether you can see, your human eye can't see it, but it's flickering in most places, unless you have devices like yours where it's running on an LED and it works more like a DC signal where it's, I mean, there's always going to be some measurable amount of flicker in everything, but yours, because it's running on an LED, and I'm guessing there are components inside there that make it run more on a DC current as opposed to an AC current, which keeps it constant, which is part of the functioning of an LED anyway. So
yeah, wow, you know your stuff, man. That's powerful. And what we did as well, we used 42 mil chips instead of 21 mil chips, and it's just it causes a higher irradiance. And oh, dude, get this one. Dual LEDs. So you might not be aware of this. So what we've got is dual LEDs. So what that means, and I love this. I can't tell you how amazing this is. Out of every LED, you've got red and near infrared out of the same LED. So it's got two different light sources coming from the same source. Yeah, it's super unique and it's very rare. And so then what that means is because what normally you get in front of a panel and one of them would be red and then the other one would be near infrared and it would alternate. But in this case, you've got every LED is giving you two different wavelengths because it's a dual chip. And so like, let's say if you're looking at 288 LEDs for a full body panel, it would be double that, which is 576 because you've got double the amount. And it's better than if it was twice the size, because if it's twice the size, then it's spread out and you've got to double the concentration on the most critical areas of your body, let's say all the organs and so forth. So I really love that component. I got obsessed with the research and we kept developing and making our stuff better and better. And then so like, okay, technology has evolved and what has happened? A lot of companies, they got successful. So they just kept doing the same thing and they kept their costs low, even though technology advanced, they kept their technology. They just kind of kept the same thing because I don't know, like people get lazy. It's human nature. Companies get lazy. But who's your people? Who's your tribe? Who's the people that you say, I'm going to bet on that person. I'm going to bet on Billy because he's a forward thinker. He cares about his customers. He cares about his followers, his audience, and people that trust in him. He's going to do everything he can, and he's going to make that accessible. And that's what I committed to. So I appreciate you pointing out that the commitment to excellence.
No, man, I'm all about it, man. And that's why, I was telling folks before you arrived that, I try these things out thoroughly, man. It means the world to me. I mean, people are spending what they think is a lot of money. To me, at the end of the day, it's money saved when you get down to brass tacks because a LED, like the light bulbs I have in here, okay, so they're $28 per bulb, but they last 45 years. So I mean, and it's the same thing I would imagine with your panel that, I don't know what the lifespan, I haven't looked into that part of it, but I'm guessing that, your LEDs are going to last for years and years and years.
Yeah, over it's 50,000 rated lifespan hours, which you're using 30 minutes a day. It's over 100 years.
Well, see, and then let's say you got a whole family of people, instead of going out here spending a fortune on vitamins that you may or may not need. In many cases, you may not need, some of the stuff I was reading about vitamin D lately. I was like, okay, well, maybe that's not something, when I'm listening to Dr. I think it was Alexis Cowan saying, look, okay, it'll keep you away from rickets, but by and large, sunlight, red light panel, man, that's really going to be your best bet as far as, getting what you need. Well, look at what people are charging for high-end vitamin D these days. I'm not saying you shouldn't take it. I'm just saying, you do the math on this. I make a one-time purchase and this thing lasts for, it could almost be a keepsake. You could pass it down to your kids.
Yeah.
And the way they're spraying right now, you might need to. So, when I'm looking at the cost of this, I'm like, well, I'm really kind of money ahead if I buy one of these. So,
yeah.
I don't know if my thinking's off here. I'm not saying people don't need vitamins. I'm just saying if I got limited funds, I know where I'm going to spend it.
Yeah, you got it, man. And it's the one thing that you set yourself up for success, because you're ordering a supplement. Then let's say in 6 months, you kind of just get sick of paying for that, or for some reason, then you kind of just keep, everyone here knows what it's like to jump from one thing to the next, and you kind of just keep jumping around, and you jump on this fad and that fad. This is something that you should never go away from red light therapy. There's never a reason to, and I'll keep citing some more studies so people can really get the nuts and bolts of this, of why it's so critical, and I'll go into different functions, and I can show screen stuff if you want as well, or I could just go and cite all the studies and explain that, because people are probably trying to work out, well, what could I use this for? And again, this is not designed to diagnose or treat conditions, but these studies then become really important for people to reflect upon.
Well, I know we did that the last time, so I can refer people back to that.
Yeah, that's great.
And folks, you can find that on Rumble. We'll make sure we link it down below.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe if you could just kind of give them because we're coming on an hour here, and I know you're going to have to bounce, but I got some audience questions here that
great. No, I love that. Well, so what I'll do is, and I'll closing off that part of the conversation in terms of, how will this perform in regards to other things? What it will do is it will supplement the need for a lot of different things. So people are using certain skincare products, and red light therapy will outperform. Yeah, this is just my experience, all my research. You look at the research yourself, it'll outperform every skin product imaginable, right? You give me every skin product, I'll give me red light therapy, and I'll outperform it. That's just one example. Then you go to the benefits on nitric oxide. So you could take a supplement for nitric oxide, or you could use red light therapy. And then, then if you took a supplement that was helping with your stem cells, which is like a stem cell attenuator, or something to help with the proliferation and activation of stem cells in your body, red light therapy is going to by far outperform that, because it's feeding the mitochondria. There's something called the mitochondrial stem cell connection. The stem cells are needing the fuel of the cell to power the proliferation of more stem cells and the maturation of those stem cells. So then you just keep going through this list of different challenges or things, like the dental aspect to red light therapy, the health on the gums, the eye help, like the clinical studies where one exposure to the red light, if it has to be the morning. Dr. Andrew Huberman has cited this study a lot. And 17% eye improvement after one session, 3 minutes of the eyes open.
My wife vouches for that. She swears that her vision is improving.
Wow.
I'm looking at this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is just like me kind of just going off the top of my head. And then bam, Billy says that, which I never knew that had happened. And I hear this from anyone that's had an eyesight issue that I know that's using it, that we've sent devices to, like you, they tell me this, like David Nino Rodriguez, maybe some of this audience knows who he is, but like he said on his show, he stopped taking Viagra with the red light. He was doing the Viagra for performance, and he's like, he just said he wanted to be rock hard or whatever, and that's why he was doing the Viagra. But then he didn't have a need to once he was doing the red light therapy, and that's all to do with blood flow and circulation. He shouldn't have been doing it.
Yeah. How old is this guy, man? He probably got 3rd-degree burns on both hands with Viagra. I mean, what?
Well, I didn't even have to convince him not to do it anymore, because when he told me, he was like, I don't do it anymore. I'm like, okay, well, good. So
he woke up one day and said, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna, because he doesn't strike me as a guy who, it's not like he's in his 70s, for crying out loud.
But people do it for because they want that extra performance, even though he didn't have erectile dysfunction, but he wanted extra performance. And so he did it. Anyway, this would be a great clip. People are going to lose it. Look at it.
I'm too old, man. I guess I'm too old. extra performance, man, I'm like, dude, Seinfeld's coming on in 20 minutes.
Yeah, whenever something comes up about like libido and all that kind of stuff, Lori's like, please don't take anything for that because you've already, you've got enough of all of that. So yeah, I get it. But yeah, so then
I didn't know that was a fad. Hey, young guys out here taking Viagra. Let's just see what this will do. I mean, what do you go in the bank and you're in there? I mean, a cat couldn't scratch it. I mean, I don't know how you. Who came up with this one? I mean, I don't know how we got on this, Jonathan. But
no, it's great. Exactly. No, it was news to me as well. And I was like, how didn't I know that people were doing this? And he was like, yeah, I was doing this. But like, I don't need to do it anymore. I don't do it anymore. But he's because of the red light therapy, the nitric oxide production, he's doing that. Because it's the circulation, the blood flow, all of this is then causing those sexual, organs to function normally. But then his eyesight had dramatic improvement, even though he's using the protective eyewear, because it's still getting through that, even though, just close your eyes if you want, you could get through your eyelid. There's lots of different ways to think about it. But, and then his back pain went away. And so he used to have to kind of say, look, I got to end the show. My back's sore. He said, I don't have that excuse anymore. Now I got to kind of just tell him I'm done. I need to go. I want to end this. And it just kept, and his mom with dementia is able to formulate her thoughts. Amazing studies on dementia and red light therapy, and her being able to formulate her thoughts was just an example of like many of the clinical studies. And so, but anyway, it just tackles a lot of these different categories. And so you're spending in all these different areas, and then it may be you and your partner, you've got both a list of things that you're doing, whether it's medications or whether it's supplements. And then, me, I've got children. So there's 4 of us. And so this is like a one and done, one ring to rule them all. And so people save insane amounts of money. And so if you've just got to be smart when you're thinking about your life and your health, and then decide this actually doesn't cost me anything. It saves me a lot of money. You've just got to be wise like that and understand and do your own calculations. And then, try it. If it does match all those categories, like we do a 60-day money back guarantee and a 3-year warranty on our devices. So then you've got kind of all that covered. And so that's awesome. And then I know we've got the questions and a couple of the, and we can tell people where to go as well, Billy, if you want. But and then I could just give a couple more of the studies. I won't go into too much detail on it, but just so that people and I won't go too controversial there. But just a few of the things, like we mentioned the eyesight, because people are going to start thinking like the fine line wrinkles. You can actually even put green tea on your face because it's a photosensitizer, and there's amazing clinical studies on this where it's taking away the fine line wrinkles. But just doing the red light on your face is going to do that anyway. But you can accelerate it if you want. You could take substances like methylene blue with the red light to accelerate all of this and help the absorption of the light in the body because it's a photosensitizer. The back pain is a big one. A lot of people have this, and so it's helping people tremendously. Whether it's even just a belt or whether it's a full body panel, they're working for these types of things. We're seeing like the dental side of things with the gums, with the teeth, how important it is for red light to get to these regions of the body because people are receding gums and all of these types of issues. And then the cell viability, like there was a Birmingham University study, they found that just even 1 minute, it was a rat study, but what they found was that 1 minute of exposure increased cell viability by 45%. So the effective functioning of cells was improved by 45%. So if all cells improved, and this was 1 minute a day instead of what we're talking about, more like 20 minutes, if you're increasing your cells functionality, then it's kind of limitless. And then you start looking at all these different categories, amazing studies on liver health and kidney function. That's one that actually does scare me. There's few things that scare me, but kidney function does, because I've seen it in my family with my father-in-law as an example, and how like if you start losing kidney function, how much trouble you're going to be in, and dialysis and all these problems. And so how do you give your organs what they need and help the functioning of those organs? Heart health, amazing studies on heart health and even heart muscle scarring. There's a University of Tel Aviv had a study which showed an up to 80% reduction in heart muscle scarring with red light therapy in combination with stem cells. But those stem cells, I would argue, if you fast, you're producing natural stem cells, and then you're getting that in front of your heart, causing the regeneration and even reduction in scarring, which is the most risky part of that condition. The scarring is. You're just improving all different organ function, the things that people care about aesthetically. Like there's something called face mapping. So on your face, you'll be able to tell like what organs are damaged. And when you then get in front of a red light panel and then you're like, oh, my face, my wrinkles, and all these different, droopy eyelids. And there's clinical studies on all of these, by the way, with red light therapy, with all the different skin conditions. And but because they're linked to different organ functions, it's not just because it got to the face. And that's why I'm saying, like, if it's a face mask versus a full body panel, it'd be a full body panel. But the face masks also have benefits because they have different wavelengths, particularly for the face. But what you're doing is you're improving organ function, which is also causing this face mapping issue to correct itself. So you no longer show signs of aging because the organ function improved, which now you can see it on your face. Like I can see what your organs are functioning like by looking at your face, which kind of is a bit weird, but it's true.
No, it makes perfect sense. I've heard other people talk about the very same thing. Well, Jonathan, I'm not sure. Let's see here. Where do we even start? Well, if anybody's interested in getting any of this, and plus you got a whole gang of other things, before we move on, okay, I see you drinking something. I don't know what it is, but I do have to ask. I mean, light water magnetism, what recommendations would you have in terms of water? I mean, people are drinking tap water. I don't drink tap water. I'm trying to figure out the best thing to do for water. Do you have any recommendations regarding any of that?
Absolutely. And right now, I'm an example of somebody that's at a hotel that's trying to do the best they can with an organic superfruit green juice with organic ingredients, but it's not, it's not perfect, right? This is not. It's organic, so that's good, but I wish it was in a glass bottle. Like, so there's times when you got to you don't have options. I don't want to drink out of the tap. And I'm doing things to help clear those toxins out of the body. But in terms of but other than that, it's always glass bottles and it's filtration. But in terms of water, my general thing has been, interestingly enough, distilled water, I've seen so much to back it because your body, there's reasons for it, but rainwater is distilled and urine is, and then people would say, well, what does that matter? But because the babies in the womb are drinking hundreds of milliliters of urine per day and urinating every 1 to 3 hours, you see that there is a natural way of things that go on in the womb. And so distilled water and reverse osmosis is very, very close to distilled water. And some would say, yeah, but the minerals are stripped out. And that's the reason why you can add things in that are bioavailable, and they're not inorganic minerals. They're organic minerals that can be absorbed by the body. And then the hydrogen water, I do see benefits in hydrogen water. And so that's kind of been a bit of a go-to for me. But then there's structured water, and there's structuring water devices. I've used those too. I think that there's a benefit there. I think it's, you look at streams of rivers and how it's going through the rocks, and it's vortexing and these types of things. It's pretty fascinating. So what do you think, Billy?
I'm still in the process of doing it right now. I've been drinking a little bit of not a little bit, but quite a bit of deuterium depleted water.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, it's very expensive too.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I go about structuring it? And then, there's some person saying, oh, you put these crystals in here and they can capture light. I mean, some of the work seems pretty astonishing. Looking at Alexis Cowan and some of the research she's doing, and even Jack Cruz and some of his work as well. And I'm trying to find out. I mean, the magnetism I got down, the light I got down, the water I'm still working on, and everything you said there is just kind of lead me to think, okay, yeah, I need to do a little bit more in this research. I mean, I got the other two pretty squared away, and it's the water. Now, this deuterium depleted water, I mean, I got one that was 5 parts per million, which is, you can't find anything lower than that. But who can afford, because I certainly can't, to spend $10 for a 16-ounce bottle every time you want to drink some. Or in this case, it was like $15 per bottle. So, who can afford that? I mean, that's what all the NFL players are drinking and stuff, But I was like, okay, let me give it a shot and just see what it's like. Well, that's not that's not something I can work out. So I'm just going to have to figure out, do I need to be vortexing it? Do I structure it? Do I, magnetize it? I'm not sure exactly what to do on that. So I'm going to be a work in progress, but I will say that once my mind takes root on something, I'm going to get to the bottom of it one way or another.
That's
So
awesome.
that's why I asked. I mean, if hopefully next time I have you on, I'll have some better answers for you. But right now I'm in the process of, I wanted to get the light down. I wanted to get the magnetism down. And now it's time to work on the water.
Awesome, man. No, I love that. And the thing that we mentioned before that will go unmentioned is also a water solution.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big
And
fan of it.
and
Big
it
fan.
will outperform like if you were to give me just that and the deuterium water and you had to make me choose, I would choose the one that we talked about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you look at all the studies, I mean, deuterium depleted water is still, I mean, I don't know. It seems like the jury's out on some of it, but honestly, I still have a whole lot of research to do and so little time to get it done. As far as where does everybody go to get these panels, and are we still using that same discount code?
No, we got another one for you. So it's myredlight.com. So myredlight.com. And I think someone will put it there in the chat. You could pin it. The code is Billy. So Billy.
Billy.
Just Billy, just Billy. Simple, straightforward. Hope that's good for you. But yeah, that'll get you an additional saving, which is great. So just claim that and take advantage of that. And yeah, we're here to support, and we're really giving a ton away in these programs, and inventory is limited. Always, it's like limited, and so we're grateful that we've got inventory. We're able to supply the need and the demand that people have right now. And so really in some ways, I think about anyone that's grabbing this, they're the lucky ones that really are. Like, we've just put our heart and soul into this, and all the research and the ability to produce the best devices. And again, FDA class 2 certified, things that like matter when it comes to safety, all of that checks out. But the advanced tech is just, it's unrivaled. There's just nothing else that's ticking all those boxes, and people can do their own research and find that to be true. And so the people that get this, again, like it's not unlimited. I wish it was, because of the limited inventory. They're the lucky ones, right? So it's a gift, and it's a gift that you can give to yourself. And I really do encourage you to make that step and do that for yourself. Your health will be better. Your life you'll have such benefits in all different areas, and you can test that and prove that on my dime under that refund guarantee, and then see what it does for you and your family. And just go all in when you do it. When I say all in, even if you're doing it 12 minutes 3 times a week, that's still all in. Or you might choose to do it 20 to 30 minutes every day or more, or you can choose what you want to do. But it's going to have benefits for you, like tremendous benefits, and improve the quality of your life. And it's a gift that it's worth giving to yourself. And sometimes the biggest choice that people need to make is whether they really feel like they're worthy of these types of things. Like, I'm worthy of this. I deserve this. And I want to give this to myself and to my family, because I deserve to be well, and I don't deserve to be sick. And it's my birthright to be well. And this is harnessing the power of what God has made in nature, and it's putting it right there in front of you, giving you a powerful modality that goes so deep. Like, you think about red and near infrared, it's going deep inside the body. It's signaling all these critical processes. And the sun it's accelerating what you see in nature and allowing you to get results that are unrivaled, and harnessing all of that, and then doing that in your home and setting your own home up so that you don't have to kind of wait till something bad happens, and then you're in a situation where the bills get astronomically high. And that's where I get worried for people, because I see that every day. You don't think my phone blows up every day from people in those states, that state of being, where so either get ahead, or if you're in that state right now, you've got to set up your home. Right? You've got to set up your home. You've got to have the things that you need to be able to take care of yourself. And the first step is to believe you're worthy of that, and then take control of that and claim that, and be one of those fortunate, blessed, and lucky ones that have these types of things, because that's the way forward for you. And to be like Billy in that circumstance, like, go back a few months when we met, our paths crossed, and then that resulted in you now having something that may be the difference between you saying, I can't do it right now. I'm like, we're in a bad state, or, hey, Jonathan, like my wife's in hospital, or those calls are happening every day. And then Tom Renz is an attorney in this space, and Annie, his wife, she used red light panels. I'm not going to make any claims, but I'm glad that she's free. If you know what I'm talking about, she had a diagnosis, a terminal diagnosis. She's free, and she swears by this, and that she just felt amazing. That it had such a dramatic impact on her life. For me, all I wanted to do was just to help my friend Tom. I'm like, here, let me send you something. You've done such good work for people. You've fought for people. You've done all these things pro bono, saving people's lives. Here's your wife, the love of your life, and she's in this chronic state. Like, what can I do for you? Send him this. And I was just chuffed to hear. It was only like a week ago I knew that she was in the green. She had a green light, and it makes sense to me because I know all these things that go together. Not making any claims, and there's a lot of things when people are in these states they will do. So it's hard to trace one single thing, but the way that she felt when she was in front of it says a lot for how beneficial that was for her. So just, claim it. It's at myredlight.com and use the code Billy and give a gift to yourself. That is a gift that you'll give to yourself and your loved ones forever. And be a missionary like Billy and myself. You don't think if you're my neighbor, I mean, I had somebody get a terminal diagnosis down the street from me. And so what I do, I just lugged this big red light on my shoulder, knocked on the door and said, like, here, plug this in. But they didn't do this research. And so they didn't even use it. Right. But I marched it to their door. But, and then anyone's welcome in my home. If you live down the street from me or somewhere local, come in my home and use this light. Be like that, so that this is not just for you and your family, it's for everyone you love. And when you do things like that, then the question of like, how do I afford this? That all comes together, because it's like, well, you need this because, and I was saying this to my wife the other day. I was working on something with business. I like, babe, you have to understand, if I don't succeed, you have to think about how many things fall down and how many people we're supporting. And like, it's my birthday today. I sent out an email to the list saying, hey, look, I don't want obviously any gifts, but what I do want is that if you could support this Kenya charity, we could save lives here. So like, when people depend on you like that and you realize your power, you start thinking more powerfully about everything, because you're not there for yourself. You're there for everyone else. So you need to be healthy. And so you end up being healthy because you're there for everyone else. And no, I'm not saying you be a Martha and you put everyone instead of yourself. You put the oxygen mask on yourself, and then you help others from that place. That's the true place of how you help people. But then you don't leave out that critical step of being a missionary there to share that good news and that gospel and with others, because that is how we change the world. And we're not going to do anything if we just think about ourselves. We think about those you love and be a beacon of light to them by getting yourself well and having, getting them to come over and use these therapies in your home. That's the biggest thing.
For me, the biggest wake-up call is, I'm 54 years old. I'm not getting any younger. I'm a farmer, and I farm in land that looks like this.
Wow.
I mean, I farm on the side of mountains. And the wake-up call for me was, I'm like, okay, my knees were bothering me going up a slope one day. And I'm like, hold on, man, I'm 54. I'm not getting any younger, man. I better start changing some things around. I love what I do. I love farming. This is what I love to do. And I love teaching other people how to do it, but I'm not going to be able to do it a whole lot longer unless I figure out a way to turn this clock back a little bit, or at least slow it down, or at least get myself to a point where I'm not looking for a terminal diagnosis before I decide to start changing the way I'm doing things around here. And that's exactly why I'm evangelizing it, because I'll be honest with you, most farmers in this space, most of us are in awful shape. I mean, you look at the average farmer out there or their spouse, it doesn't matter. Most of us are in really, really bad shape. So I'm thinking, okay, if I'm going to continue to do this, I mean, I wasn't in awful shape, but I'm like, okay, if my knees are bugging me, that tells me something ain't going right here. I mean, I'm not just going to go gently into that good night and just say, oh, okay, I don't know how I'm going to get up this slope, but, I'll get some crutches. Or no, that's not an option for me. But I feel like I could go after Moby Dick in a rowboat and take the tartar sauce with me. So I feel good. My sleeping is fantastic. And I'm finding one little thing every single day. So I'm not going to wait for a bad diagnosis. And then honestly, Jonathan, the way I started off this program, I'm like, good night, man. Every single time I turn around, it's like they're looking for another creative way to kill us. whether what they're, the fog they're dropping out there or the manufactured storms they're bringing in, whatever the case may be.
It's like
not
Hunger
only-
Games.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's not enough to just maintain what you got, but you better be finding ways to turn things back. And that's why I'm so dogged in doing this, because I'm like, okay, I gotta not only maintain some kind of really good health to be able to do this work, but I gotta also find ways to get this garbage out of me that I don't have any say on whether or not it's coming in me. I mean, I can't control the air I breathe. I can to a certain extent within this house, but outside of here, I can only go so far. But man, I can't thank you enough for doing all this. Let's go to a couple of questions here. First of all, do you ship internationally?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, we got a guy up in Canada said he's waiting on a delivery. Now,
No.
when I ship to Canada, it's a nightmare. Even though it's just right across the border. I sent one of my homeboys up there some honey, and you would swear I was sending nitroglycerin across the border, man. They said they ordered this thing a while back and they're still waiting on it. I mean, is there a reason?
Oh yeah, no problems. Yeah, absolutely. What we can do is just we can get his exact information and find out exactly what's happening there. In the past we had, and this is why I even brought up the challenge with inventory, because of the massive spike in how many people then were ordering. But we got ahead of all of that, which is great. And this is an exact reason why I'm saying to understand, like when we're doing this show right now, we have a large supply of inventory that is enough for, and if I just get their information, Billy, if you don't mind just passing it to me, I can just investigate, because sometimes it can also be something with customers and we can just resolve that. That's no problems. But yeah, my point there is that yeah, we give people updates as well in terms of like where things are at. And so we'll check in on this exact case. We'll make sure that he gets his order right away. But and again, case in point as well, to realize that when people are placing their orders now, we have inventory, so we're able to fulfill on all of those, which is great. And so it's taken us a long while to get to that point, because of there's a huge demand. That's what's so crazy about this. It's almost unbelievable with like how much the demand is on this. But yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you.
I just wondered I wondered if it wasn't customs, because every time I send something, it's to the point where I don't even want to send it over to Canada. I don't know what's going on there. It's like trying to send, when my son was in Australia at Jeff Lawton's farm, we tried to send him cookies, man. They ended up sending them back. They sent them 6 months later. I think they actually got to him. Yeah, so it was crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That stuff can happen. I'm glad you're aware of that. And then in which case we just walk through that whole process and we just take care of it. Like, absolutely. So that's critical. So we'll absolutely walk through that. I see that Danielle's question, will this help with hypo and thyroidism and Graves' disease? Do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah.
That is one of my most favorite questions. The thyroid gland is very sensitive in two ways. It's sensitive to toxins. It's very sensitive to light in a positive way. So the clinical studies on thyroid disease show specifically that the exposure to red light will cause a very significant, even over a short period of time, a very significant reduction in the medications needed for the thyroid hormones. So that's great. And then specifically what they're finding in the studies is that it's regenerative of the thyroid gland. And I'll give you an example where we had a case where these two women had around mid last year, they got full body panel, what you have in your home, Billy, and they Shannon and Elizabeth. So Elizabeth was the one that was then kind of reminding her, Shannon, she had Graves' disease, so hyperthyroidism, and it was so chronic. Her markers were terrible for her blood, so severe, and her body was giving in. So she got to the point where she was barely able to walk, and she's super ambitious. She was planning to compete in a marathon, and then it escalated really quickly. Her body just deteriorated. Doctors said, you shouldn't even dream of doing this. Like, your body's in such a chronic state. Don't like tax your body like this, which I would generally agree with. But here's what happened for her friend Elizabeth. And again, this is just an anecdotal case study, but it's 100% true and verifiable. And we've got this video out there. Elizabeth had said to her, look, Shannon, you need to put this in front of your thyroid. Just get in front of it 30 minutes a day, get up real close to it and just do this thing and just keep doing it. Like, that's what Jonathan would say. I'm not a doctor. I'm no John. She said, I'm no Jonathan, but I can tell you this much. Like, what do you got to lose? And this could work for you. Within 2.5 weeks, the doctors just jaw to the floor. Like, why are your markers normal? And she's up and at 'em. She goes and competes in the marathon. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not saying that everyone's going to have those results. The results not typical. Individual results vary, but that was just an interesting case that we're finding that, and so that's one of the things that I care most about, because typically all the like, let's say, anyone with a hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism should be off gluten, as an example. But being off gluten isn't regenerative. And you should also do a parasite cleanse. Why? Because there could be lots of different toxins that are affecting your thyroid function, parasites being one. You should do a heavy metal cleanse. That's great. But none of the things I just mentioned are regenerative. The only one that I have been mentioning that's regenerative is the red light therapy. So then what you'll find, a lot of these people, even like I was just on with a doctor last week, and she has hypothyroidism, Dr. Marisa Snyder, and there's an interview I did with her, and she was basically open about the fact, she's like, I'm not getting better. I'm like, everything I'm doing is holding the line, but I'm not getting better. And she just started doing the red light because I'd sent her a device. She just started. She could see some good signs and indicators, but she still wasn't being like deliberate about it. But after that interview, she's like, okay, now I'm in. And so that's going to be interesting. I suspect that in a few weeks, she's going to tell me some really great movements. But that was an example of the fact that here's a doctor that knows her stuff. She's done all these therapies, but then it's not regenerative. And this is regenerative. And that's why we're seeing these massive results with people that hardly know what they're doing, just turning this thing on and standing in front of them, standing in front of it.
Yeah, I guess that's all it takes. It says, Jonathan, do you make anything for the feet?
Yeah, absolutely. So one, I would say that the panels are always going to be good for the feet, in that you can just get your foot up and just rotate it and it'll get around the foot. We do have like hand devices, but not specific, like put your foot in this thing. But the panel, what I would say is good for the feet. And remember, the panel is always going to have the highest irradiance, the amount of power delivered. So therefore, just getting your foot in front of it and rotating it would still be my thing. And I'm not saying you'd even have to have your foot there for 20 minutes. Getting that exposure there, getting it systemically throughout the body, and then even just having your foot rotating around it for a few minutes, to me, would be suffice. But if you got something really chronic there that you're working on, then yeah, why not get that whole body like thing maybe light down sideways on the ground and have both feet in front of it, on the front and then on the back. And that's still going to be your best foot device. Even if I had a foot device, that would be better because it's higher irradiance. But the foot device would be there for convenience and for traveling and for, whatever. But it's still going to be amazing. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, the panel's the way to go.
Well, Jonathan, man, I can't thank you enough for doing this on your birthday, man. Had I known, well, you know what? It was your suggestion, so I'm blaming you to do it on your birthday. You knew you were going to need a break in Vegas, I guess, is what it is. So,
dude, you're fun to talk to, man. So I enjoy it. It's a pleasure, And so I'm already away from my boys here, and we did something where we celebrated my birthday on a different day, so I could be with my boys and just treated it like my birthday. And there's my family calling me to wish me happy birthday, which is really sweet. They're in Australia, so they kind of the times are all like different. So they'll like call me either like in the afternoons or whatever because they're morning. But yeah.
Oh man, well, man, you don't look your age, Wells. You clearly do what you say you do, man.
Thanks, man. 39 today, 39. So getting up there.
39. Wow, I remember the good old days when I was 39. Well, is there anything else you'd like to leave with the people out there, folks? If you want one of these or anything else he has, go to myredlight.com. Promo code Billy will get you a discount. I don't know what that is, but hey, it's something. So
it's 10% off, and there's discounts on the page, and so it'll put 10% on top of the discounts already on the page, and we put a lot of free gifts into various bundles, and so people can like see all of that, and so yeah, absolutely, Billy, that's which is great. Like that, that is a big saving across the board. And so I'd say the last thing to say then, Billy, let's say in regard to like red light therapy, my biggest thing is to get started. Some people have, there's getting started at wherever you can get started is, and then when you when you do something like this and you get a device, make sure to use it. That's, nothing is satisfying about the work that Billy and I do unless you're using it and getting a result. That's what makes us happy. Like when we hear about all the changes and transformations, that brings us joy and happiness. And so, take advantage of that and use that to your advantage and let that change and transform your life. And so, so what I would say then is, so you can get started at whatever level. We've seen people with the belts as an example get tremendous results. And obviously if you get a tremendous result with something like a belt, imagine what a full body panel could do. And so just find where you can get started. And then the other thing that we did to make it accessible to all is to have the financing option. So you could put it into 6 monthly payments over 6 months or 12 months or whatever you want, so that you really just end up, you're going to be paying what you paid for a supplement every month. But at the end of it, instead of not owning anything and having consumed everything you purchase, you'll own this for life. And so that's another way just to make it a no-brainer and make it really simple for people. But then others, if you've got that available, then you can just make a straight purchase. But all of that to say, guys, just take care of yourself, take care of your health, take care of your loved ones. You're worth it, you deserve it. And just know that the power that you have is it's in your hands, and you have the power to change your future and your destiny when it comes to your health. You're not subject to be the prey of these organizations that are intentionally trying to harm us. Just like it says in Psalm 91, 1,000 shall fall at thy right side, but it shall not come upon thee. And then you claim that by just believing in that and taking action on whatever you can, whatever's in front of you. That's the test that's in front of you. And just walk through that and just keep doing those things gradually, day by day. And you'll find that you look back and you realize, wow, I've come so far. There's been times when I've felt like I can't break these habits, and I just don't know how to, am I ever going to get better? Because even when I know about something and I buy it, it sits there and I don't even take it. Why do I lack that motivation? What's happening? And then, so it's just really putting one foot in front of the other and just saying, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to stop asking for every answer to every question in order to know, because you don't know until you try it. So you've got to then just decide, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to see what's going to happen. You have to be bold. So success goes to the bold in life. Those that are just willing to, say, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. And that's what makes Billy successful. He's one of the bold guys. Look at the way he talks and the way he does things, and he innovates. And with me, I don't settle for status quo, and then I take action on what I know, even though I do that imperfectly. We're all imperfect beings. Just take imperfect actions regularly, and you will get better, and you'll have a great life. Just take imperfect action step by step, and you'll look back and you'll say, look at how far I've come. That's what I want to end with.
That's my man right there, y'all. Hey, remember, go to myredlight.com. Promo code Billy will get you squared away. Look, y'all, I want to thank my guests for coming in, y'all. And I want to thank everybody here in the chat. And I know this is going to go far and wide. Of course, our largest audience is without a doubt in the audio platform, but it's going to go out everywhere, y'all. Look, I'm a big believer. I'd never bring anything to y'all that I do not strongly endorse. I use this thing every day. And until next time, stay alert, stay alive.
Learn a new thing, channel and nature, let the knowledge ring. We'll roots that run deep, wisdom from soul, burn across the stream. Let the ideas unfold. I'm grooving with the truth. Feeling nature's good.